Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Woo from September 15th to September 21st. Okay, I'm going to try cut this back in time. It was way too long last week. It was the first trial run of the audio. So I will start with the main events and the major events and highlights of this whole entire week, okay? So basically we're in the midst of full-blown eclipse season, bridge season. So we are basically on the completion, the second week of the 15th to the 21st, okay? So that will... we led in with a full moon total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and now we're kind of at that breaking point, that midpoint where we're kind of on the downhill shove towards the exact cutoff end, the closure of the eclipse season, which will be September 21st, 2025, and that is going to end with a partial solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees. Now, there's another cycle going on in the background. It's two different cycles going on simultaneously, so meaning this will reflect back to our new moon in Virgo, our black new moon cycle in Virgo. The first new moon was in Virgo at 0 degrees back on August 23rd, and the second new moon in Virgo, because they're new moons back to back, which happens to be called a black moon cycle, which will actually end, of course, the same day as the end of the eclipse, which is the new moon partial solar eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo. So the interesting thing about these 2 degrees, 0 degrees, and 29 degrees is their high impact, high energy degrees. So the 29th degree of any sign is known as the anaretic degree. It's extreme. It's kind of chaotic. It plays out in the negative fashion first before it ever straightens out and planes out into the positive fashion. So it's kind of crazy. It's energetic. It's very, like I said, chaotic, known as the anaretic degree. It plays out with the negative effects first, usually. Okay. So we're having 2 cycles going on. They're hitting at the same time. So you can be experiencing it as the eclipse cycle, and it's kind of something like a separate story going on at the same time with the new moon, black moon cycle in Virgo, or they can be mixed, right? So the last time we had a black moon cycle was in last December. So December of 2024, we had a 0 degree in the beginning of December and the 29th degree at the end of December. So that's the only way that we can have a black moon cycle is when it falls right on that 0 degree and 29th degree. Okay, so that's the only time that will ever happen, but it's rare, but it does happen. So if you think back to that time in December, think back what was going on. So that will be an example of the energy and how it plays out and how you would experience it. I remember at that time I was starting a project and it completed at lightning speed. It took like a 30-day duration to start and complete. It's kind of like, I like to call it like a rapid energy. This whole week I would describe as rapid energy. Rapid, fast, abrupt energy. Okay. So it's lots going on this week. Okay, and so we will continue on with the rest of the information here. So this whole week is busy. So just kind of tighten your seatbelts, and you're going to have to prioritize tasks and prioritize your energy and put it where it belongs. So it's not a good time to waste energy, and it's very, very busy. Lots of incoming information, outgoing information. So I'm going to first of all just jump right into the planetary shifts. So we have on September 18th, we have Mercury enters Libra, okay, so, and then September 19th, we have Venus entering Virgo. And Virgo for Venus is a detriment sign. Venus doesn't particularly like being in Virgo, but you can make it work, right? Everything has got its positives and its negatives, but it's a detriment value. On September 21st, we have the new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees. Again, a very pivotal day. And on that same day, we will have a Sun opposition Saturn, which that's a real tough, hard aspect. So that's a conflict fighting, being pulled in 2 directions, kind of a tug of war, or it can be internal conflict. So that's going on that day. That makes it a very high impact day. I'm going to mention 2 dates into the next week because they are basically back to back up against the exact date of the end of the partial solar eclipse. So on September 22nd, we will have Mars entering Scorpio. Now that is a big, huge shift. It's a very powerful shift. It's an extreme shift because Mars is actually moving into her home sign of transformational Scorpio. That's going to take us places, and that one kind of means business. On September 23rd, we have the sun entering Libra, and that happens to be our fall equinox. So equal days, equal nights. Now, keep in mind, all these three shifts, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, they're all back-to-back energies, all back-to-back shifts, and it's going to be high impact, and it's going to be very, very transformational. It's like you're going one way, and then within a couple of days, you're totally changed in a completely different direction. But that's going to be the outcome of all this week, right? Things will be completely different by mid next week. Okay, so on our overshadowing energies are, of course, full-blown eclipse season, our black moon our black moon cycle in Virgo, August 23rd to September 21st. That's 2 new moons back to back in the sign of Virgo at pivotal, chaotic, and anaretic degrees, 0 and 29 degrees. And we have our planets in retrograde. There's Pluto retrograde, there's Neptune retrograde, there's Uranus retrograde, and there's Saturn retrograde. And so that's a 4-planet retrograde cycle going on right now. And so we are going to... I'm just going to mention, we're going to move into how many aspects. So this week's aspects, we have far more negative aspects than positive aspects. We have something like 16 negative aspects, and we have 5 positive aspects. And the 5 positive aspects are really, really, really good. So be very, very focused on the positive. It's kind of a knee-jerky, disruptive, it's chaotic. It's all over the place this week. So do remain very, very focused and be very, very conscientious on being very positive focused, because it's one of those weeks where it's going to be very easy to hit the ditch in negativity, and that's kind of what you're going to attract, right? So whatever you're focusing is what you're going to attract, and we do not want to miss the boat of the good mojo aspects, because there's some pretty sweetie pie ones here coming up this week. But it's very, very energized, and it's very, very... governed by the bigger cycles, the bigger aspects going on, which a person can really lose sight of your primary focus. So we have the circle the dates. We have it's going to be basically every day, because every day is very, very busy, with the exception of the 17th. We have mega aspects every day. It's bumpy, it's not smooth. There's pretty much issues every day with the exception of the 19th. Your plans will not remain the same, so be flexible, be open, be willing to change. You're going to have to adjust, reschedule. This energy of this week reminds me similar to a heavy personal planet retrograde, which is not the case. We don't have any personal planets in retrograde, but it's going to feel that way. Eclipse season comes in. It's unpredictable. It's unstable. We have a very active Uranus this week, which eclipse season and Uranus energy, to me, are very, very, very similar. So when you have those two kind of charging each other at the same time for the same week, it's very chaotic. It's full of unexpected surprises, unexpected events, unexpected people showing up, or you'll be hearing from these kind of people, those kind of things. It can be breakdowns. It can be breakthroughs. It's out of the blue. It's shock, surprise, chaos. And now you mix that with an eclipse season. That's kind of a cocktail for anything that can happen will happen. Okay. So something else I do want to mention about the eclipse season. I've mentioned this before, but I will mention it again quickly. Remember, eclipses come in every 6 months. They come along to realign our lives. They kind of create that realignment to realign our path in our dharma, our future, our destined, fated journey, path ahead. And they bring in changes that are non-negotiable, meaning we have absolutely nothing to say about it. What's going to happen is going to happen. All we have choice over is how we are going to deal with it and how we are going to react. And hopefully we don't do the knee-jerk reaction, emotional, those kind of things, because it's a detrimental week for things to go very, very bad and doing a lot of permanent damage down the road. So just keep that in mind. You want to think twice before acting and speaking, just to prevent future regrets, okay? So again, eclipse seasons come in to eclipse people, places, things, or stuff in or out of life. And normally these changes are small to large, depending on what's going on in life. It's a different storyline for everybody, but it tends to be permanent in nature. So one example I did see quite a few years ago is I did see somebody's house actually burn down to the ground on a full moon lunar eclipse, right? And that's just an example that's not going to happen to anybody. And just so you get the understanding of what eclipse energy can do. Lunar eclipses always take out, remove, and conclusions, resolutions, and solar eclipses usually bring in birth and new things, new cycles. Okay, so this particular eclipse cycle, we are actually leading in with the full moon lunar eclipse of removal, and we will end the lunar eclipse with the partial solar eclipse, which brings in the new. So it's like take out the old, make room for the new, that kind of energy, and often we can see unexpected things happening, and sometimes it can involve physical death. Often it can just be figurative death, right? A job, or these kind of things happen, but it's usually a life altering to some degree, small to large, right? It realigns our life path forward. So we will move on to our best date. So there is a really, really good particular day this week. Most of it's bumpy and it's a mixed bag on a daily basis. The one of the okay mixed bag days, it's an opposition and a trine. So it's a hard negative mixed with one of the best flowing good luck aspects. Would be September 16th. It's a mixed bag, but make the most out of it. There is a lot of opportunity to be had on the 16th. And September 19th is a super, super, super duper good day. We actually have 3 trines that day, which is absolutely awesome. And, there's something else that might hit on the 19th is you might have some super good luck. And then it's going to be a change of plans because we have a quintile that same day. And that's what that means. So the 19th, I probably would, if it was me, I think what I will do is I might go uptown and buy me a little $1 or $2 scratcher. Like I said, September 19th is a really, really good day. The rest are bumpy. So we are right full of those little pesky, annoying, minor, challenging aspects. So like semi-sextiles, semi-squares, in conjunctions. Those are the little buggers that come along and they keep on gnawing at our plans, and they create a bunch of havoc and hiccups and issues and turbulence with daily plans. And those are the little guys that come along that alter the plans multiple times in a day. So just be open, be flexible, be willing to adjust and carry on, and don't get kind of bent out of shape. Don't sweat the small stuff this week because it's an ultra busy week. So we will be focusing on, again, focusing on the Virgo Pisces energy. So again, there is a lot of Virgo energy, but this is actually going to link back to the eclipse energy because it's very, very governing the whole week. So when I talk about the Pisces Virgo axis, the nodal axis, that refers to the health axis. So that will revert back to a previous cycle, which would be 18 years and a few days previously. So that will take us back to years 2006, 2007, and 2008. So if you can think back to that particular time of what was going on, that will link back to similar story lines, subjects, themes, that kind of thing. And if it's not you, often I've seen it play out where it can turn out to be your kids, your grandkids, or it could be your parents or your grandparents if they're still alive. But it'll be a similar story theme, and often it's health linked. So just think back to that time zone, and that'll kind of put you on the path to where the subject matter or some things that might be highlighted in life might be coming up. And so also not only the health axis, so the Virgo Pisces, that, Virgo is about perfectionism, it's about organization, it's about being analytical, and it's about being methodical. It's very, very down to earth. It's very, very practical energy. It's very earthy. It's very materialistic. It's very physical. It's very hands-on. And so that's the kind of energy it is. And so the downside of that particular can be overly critical, overly judgmental, and it can be the perfectionist that drives everybody crazy because you can keep on redoing something over and over, and if it's never good enough. Now, that can be somebody or that can be you. And how they describe that is it could be inhibiting energy, meaning that you could be working on a project and you keep on redoing it because it's never good enough, therefore inhibiting you from finishing the project. So nobody wants that. So keeps a proper balance. Now, the Virgo energy also hovers around, of course, health, right? We talk about the health axis. So it's health, healing, wellness, daily routines, daily regimens. You're going to have systems at work, maybe creating systems, making systems, organizational skills. And Virgo is the clean freak or the clean queen of the zodiac. Either you have it or you don't. It can be ultra clean or ultra slobby. And it's all about work. It's service to the world. And it's very, very good with the intricate details. Pets might be of subject matter, household pets, the big pets, outdoor pets. And it's also about doing something that's very, very important to you, doing work that's important to you. Mentoring, you might be mentoring somebody might be mentoring you. It's about diet, it's about exercise, it's about health, physical health, physique, those kind of things. Service to the world, and it could also involve employees, okay? So put that in where it fits. You might have employees, you might be an employee yourself. That's a different storyline for everyone. Apply it accordingly. Now, there's also the sixth house does have, everything's got its bright side and its shadow side. So often the sixth house can be linked with bad luck. So, you'll know where that fits. Either it does or it doesn't. And it can be hovering around enslavement or feeling like you're within slavery boundaries or slavery energy. Basically taking on, maybe responsibilities or roles that don't belong to you. So make that fit accordingly or apply it accordingly. And the sixth house is also a karma house. So the sixth and the 12th house, that's very, very highlighted here because it's that Virgo Pisces energy. Virgo rules the 6, Pisces rules the 12. So that's karmic cycles. So when I say the house of karma, that would mean karmic cycles appearing, karmic cycles showing themselves again, or karmic cycles within history or families, or cycles repeating themselves over and over again, and also fixing and resolving karmic cycles, putting an end to those karmic cycles. So apply that accordingly. Now that, because both of those karmic cycles are lit up, but that's 6 and 12, that's ultra amplified. So apply it accordingly, if at all. And the other thing that's going to be very, very highlighted too, and I talked about this last week a little bit too, is the 12th house. That's a water house. That's a hidden house. It's a dark house. It's a psychology house. Our feelings and our subconscious feelings, the subconscious areas, psychology areas. And it's about the hidden unseen realm, period. It's about private, wanting privacy, solitude time, right? That would be important. And it's a private house. It's nobody else's business. You need your private time, whatever you're doing, your private time behind closed doors. It's also the house of escapism, avoiding, evading, those kind of things. So escapism can be healthy. Escapism can be unhealthy. Unhealthy would be a workaholic or working to avoid, right? More than one person have done that. Alcoholism, drugs, prescription drug addictions. It's the house of addictions, and it's the house of fears. And remember, sex addiction, porn addiction, it can be absolutely anything. The workaholic, that's in there too. It can include foreign lands and foreign shores. So you might be traveling, you might be communicating with somebody or a group, of foreign shores overseas, those kind of things, or maybe even taking in courses or education that is linked to overseas or foreign lands or foreign shores. It's a behind-the-scenes house. Again, a karmic house. I won't go over that again, but that's the karma house. Fixing people's karma, generational karma, family karmic cycles. Doing things behind the scenes. It's hidden or secret. So you might be doing a project, or you might be doing things behind closed doors that you just don't need anybody else to know about. It's a private thing. It's also, my favorite part about the 12th house is the dream time, lucid dreaming, astral projection, teleportation, those kind of things. And I would highly suggest keeping a dream journal, or just jotting it down, all your visions and your dreams and your thoughts. Anything that seems to be an unconscious or a subconscious thought, write it down, okay? It might not have meaning today, tomorrow, but it will down the road. The subconscious mind, right? And it's also about the cosmic soup. And this is another fun place to go and explore. It's spirituality. It's esoteric. It's, about religion, esoteric, occult areas, spirituality, however that fits. And whatever your interests are. You might be studying spirituality or religion, or you might be studying esoteric areas behind closed doors and, in isolation. Who knows? That's just an example. Akashic Records is also part of that. And so this is also the house of fears. Not only it's fears and addictions, but it's fears. So things that you're scared of, things that you're worried about, things that are concerning to you. It's also a house of being creative and art. And another interesting place that this falls is past lives. Again, that could fall back into the karma houses. So if you believe in past lives, the 12th house is the house of past lives. So that can go down in that direction as well. It's also the house of isolation, confinement. Okay, so meaning hospitals, prisons, orphanages, you're isolated due to another reason. Like, I'm sick, I can't leave the hospital, so I'm isolated or confined to a hospital, or I'm in prison or in jail because of like whatever activity happened and because of a jail warden or courts or laws, right? Or it can be isolation in a healthy or unhealthy fashion. So isolation because I'm writing a song, I'm writing poetry, I'm doing a course, on education, so I'm isolating myself because I can't do it within a crowd. Or it could be isolation due to somebody else's hands or somebody else's means or somebody else's force. So for example, an abusive relationship, you're isolated or confined to a house due to somebody you're living with. Just an example, applied accordingly if not at all. Again, it's healthy and unhealthy escapism, right? Unhealthy escapism is addictions. Healthy escapism could be reading a book behind closed doors, but enjoying your time, and it's fulfilling, right? And another big part of the 12th house is stripping down your ego to nothing. So that would be like everything being stripped away, materialistic, and starting over again. So, having a breakdown and having to rebuild and having to restart life all over again. So that's what they will call redefining yourself or ego. So a loss and then a rebuild. A reformulation of you, and that's a very, very high point for a lot of people at this point in time. Okay, so okay, so I'm just going to go into just the general flow because it's getting on to be about 20 minutes already. Yeah, and so the health axis, I'm also going to talk about the Virgo health areas. So we'll quickly jump into those areas. Actually, you know what? We're not. We're going to go into just the general flow, and I'll do the health and anatomy last. Okay, so we have active planets right straight through and through. So Jupiter is the one planet that is not that active. The North Node point is not that active, other than we have the eclipse sitting on those nodes. But we have a super active Mercury, and so that means we're going to have a huge amount of communication incoming, a huge amount of communication outgoing. You could be the one receiving the communication, or somebody might be waiting on you to communicate with them. So that's telephone calls, that's chat, that's in person, that's letters, that's emails, that's text messages, any form of communication that can also involve travel, long distance, short distance travel, and it can also involve vehicles or mobility like wheelchairs or those kind of things as well. And Mercury is about the mind. It's the mental realm. It also can involve thinking, learning, education, and often it can involve young people. Mercury is young people. So it's going to be very, very busy. You're going to have to prioritize your tasks, your responsibilities. It can be a runaway week where it can have you running in circles. This week will be similar to last week. So last week was kind of a gong show, like here and there, and having to reformulate plans and reschedule and redo. Very, very, very busy. This week is going to be almost double or triple amplified that, right? Because we have Uranus in the mixture. So other topics for conversation that rate real high, and this is going to be money, it's going to be love, relationships, partnerships, again, health. And why I say that, because we have a busy Venus, right? And it's about important or highlighted females, important females in your life. So that could be mom, it could be a wife, could be girlfriend, could be a daughter, important females. And it's also going to be hovering around our values and value systems. And there's going to be probably an upgrade in values and value systems within this time zone. From the time that this starts, this time zone is going to be very, very different. So like within, I would say, starting today, which is Sunday, but tomorrow, right through to about mid next week, it's going to be very, very different. It's going to be transforming into a different direction. What you thought you were going to be working with or what you're going to be looking at is going to be completely different by next week. And that will be, personal to global. So remember, this is all collective, right? It affects everybody globally and collectively around the world. But this particular, especially with the nodal axis, the health axis, it will highly impact any Virgo or Pisces heavy placement people. But as a rule of thumb, it's just collective energy. And we're going to have the God of War is coming alive too, right? So the God of War, that is kind of conflict. And also the Mars can involve cutting away people, places, or things. So along working with the eclipse cycle, which can eclipse people out or eclipse people in, Mars can also help with that. So that can help with ambition. It can help with energy levels. It's how we take action to go after what we want, but it's also cutting away, severing, and getting rid of things, right? Mars is also known as the surgeon. It's very active, and it's a very masculine energy, and it can be highly sexual energy, right? So just keep that in mind. That's our energy reservoirs. That's our energy levels. That's our ambition, our initiative. That's how we go after things. It's very, very active. And also remember, Mars is hot. It's ruled by Aries. It rules Aries, actually. And so that's where the tempers can run. So we do have an opposition with Mars. So I would say keep the tempers at bay, control your behavior, because that can be very triggering. This whole week is very unpredictable. It's unstable. It's triggering. It's full of high conflict. This particular week, we have, I don't think I mentioned this, but I'll mention it quickly now. We have 4 trines, we have 1 square, we have 1 sextile, and we have 4 oppositions. So we have 5 real heavy negative aspects, 1 square and 4 oppositions. So that is kind of almost like the Holy Grail war energy. That it's kind of the cocktail for fighting. So just keep that in mind. So oppositions, I can't remember seeing that many. I mean, I've seen 3 oppositions, but I don't think I've ever seen 4 oppositions plus a square. So when you have that many oppositions are negative challenged aspects. So meaning you're pulled in two different directions. It's like a tug of war style energy. It's fighting, it's conflict, it's arguing. It's not settled. It's tension filled, right? It gets somebody's attention. So like very fight oriented. So just keep that in mind. If you're thrown a hook, don't bite. If it's triggering, it's probably a good idea either to hang up the phone or walk away, because like I said, a lot of damage can be done, and it's it's not only unsettled and unpredictable, it's full of conflict fighting. So again, it can be very war oriented. It can be violence oriented. Mars is also about violence and acts of violence too, right? And that's got a possibility going on here this week too. It's like anything and everything can happen under the sun. And again, so we have some like a sextile, and we have 4 trines, which is good. But often when people get focused on the negative, their attention kind of sits there, and they end up missing the boat of opportunity when the good ones come in, right? So again, pay attention to the 19th. That's our best day of the whole week. Yeah, and then, we have a very active Saturn. So that's about feeling restricted or having limitations or maybe being held back. And remember, Saturn is about old age, right? It's about long-term things. And again, we have Saturn opposition. So that could be a fight with an authority figure, a fight with maybe a spouse or someone who thinks they're an authority figure in a relationship. It can be something to do with bosses, right? Those kind of things, limitations, restrictions. But it's also about manifesting, right? Saturn likes to manifest, and Saturn is our lord of karma, and karma is definitely out to play this week, right? So, and also when I talk about negative, challenging aspects, like we do have some really good ones, but we have some real harsh, hard ones, plus the eclipse season, etc. But it doesn't always mean it's bad for everybody. Often they can play out as a beneficial energy, meaning they can disclose or expose the difference between right versus wrong, truth versus lies or falsehoods, good versus bad. So now that would depend on what side of the coin you're sitting on or what part of the fence you're sitting on. I mean, if you're taking responsibility, doing the right thing, often it will bless you with karmic rewards. But if not, you're going to get the karmic consequences. And Saturn is the teacher of life. It's the teacher of life lessons. And it's if you don't learn the lesson, you're going to repeat it. So that's very highlighted here, right, too, right? It can be about dad and dad figures, father figures, authority figures all as well. That includes global leaders, right? Like to global, right down to personal. So apply it accordingly. And we're going to have that wiggling, that ripple effect of Uranus all week long. So that means unexpected events, unexpected people, shock, surprise, out of the blue things happening. But that does come with some pretty good trines, so that could be unexpected, really good things coming in, but it does have a square amongst it. So it's a mixed bag with Uranus. And again, that can be like-minded groups, that can be politically related or politics involved. It can be internet-based projects, those kind of things, like minds, friendship circles, those types of things. And again, Neptune is very active, which means it's about hopes, dreams, and it's also about wearing rose-colored glasses. We also have a Neptune opposition. Now, what would that mean? That would mean the con job, the con artist, the used car salesman. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you're told. Question everything. Do your due diligence. If it feels off, listen to that, because chances are you're right. It's also about the rose-colored glasses, the head in the sand, turning the blind eye, pretending to see what we want to see rather than what actually is reality, living in a fantasy land. It's also the energy of dissolution or a dissolving. So what do I mean by that? It would be the best example I can say is the dissolving effect if you are going to dissolve a marriage contract. When Neptune comes in, it's challenging. Often when Neptune is transiting a certain area in someone's house, it's dissolving something away so that a new cycle can begin. A dissolution effect could be dissolving a company. Another good example. Anyway, Neptune is also about creativity. It's about inspiration. It's about spirituality, those types of things, views, opinions, and it views the world differently. But it's also the master illusionist, the master of deception, delusions. And again, when the challenged Neptune comes up, that's what it is, basically a con job. Things are not how they look. And we have a very active Pluto, so that's about death, rebirth, regeneration, changes, explosive changes, and the cores of truth. Again, this is very, very active. So this could be some really good news because we do have some Pluto trines, which is a really nice change, right? Which means actively positive changes coming in. And last but not least is going to be Chiron. It is very, very active. And Chiron is known as the wounded healer. When you have the wounded healer, that's about the sore spots in life, the hurts and wounds from the past. So that can be mental, emotional, physical, and it can include financial hurt. So the sore spots from the past will be arising. However, there's a little bit of problem coming in there, or things are going to, arise as an issue, but there's also some energy there for healing, fixing, resolving. So that's good news too, right? So I'm going to quickly move into our health and anatomy area. And so I'm going to mention right off the hop, because I think I didn't write this down, but the health axis, Virgo Pisces, and this in the health and anatomy, this is going to cover bacteria, good and bad. Small bacteria, good and bad. So what I mean by that, so bad bacteria would be like infections. Good bacteria would be, an example would be like a probiotic, okay? Detoxification, purification, cleaning. It's gut health, it's digestion. It's about viruses, infection, funguses. And it also takes in the intestines, intestinal area, liver, pancreas, gallbladder, lower plexus, upper bowel. Okay, so that is basically the Virgo. And when we come into Pisces, Pisces is all about the blood, the immune system, the lymphatic system. So it could be a plugged lymphatic system, or lymph swelling or fluid buildup or backup. That might be something that has to be looked at. Toxicity of water. So that could be toxic water within the body, within the system, viruses, and thymus gland. And it's also about the feet. That includes that. And I'm going to just give me a second. I'm going to grab my papers here. This is also going to be hovering around the head as well. So when I see overlapping anatomy and health areas, that means it's highly, highly activated or very extreme, or something you need to be careful with. So this particular time zone, this week, next 7 days for sure, maybe 9-10 days, be very, very careful with the head area. So the head, the face, the trauma, falling, hitting your head, anything to do with the head, or being hit in the head with anything, accidents, those kind of things, head traumas. So that will include the nervous system, the brain. In and out of the brain could be anything to do around the brain, surrounding the brain, sight, mouth, tongue, respiratory, that's lungs, hands, arms, elbows, thyroid gland, and the mind. So the mind can be mental health, and it can also involve depression. We will also include, because we have a hugely active Venus, the throat. So that could be throat, interior or exterior, or something around the neck area, or ingestion through the throat, like swallowing, right? Chin, cheeks, and your taste. Kidneys, kidney function, ovaries, internal reproductive organs, blood, circulation, and skin. Again, skin is ultra highlighted again too, right? So that's like twice over highlighted. So you might be doing something with your skin, or paying attention to your skin, or skin routine, or skin care, or maybe skin being checked out by the doctors or something like that. And the muscles, a very active Mars. That's about the muscular system, external reproductive organs. And again, this is where the head and the face overlap over and over and over. So it's a very, very high profile place to focus on, to keep the head and the face and that area safe, right? Because it's very highlighted. Red blood cells. So your red blood, for whatever reason, that will actually also include the white blood cells for whatever reason. Bladder and adrenal glands. Something else, active Saturn, and that is, again, this is where the skin overlaps, something to do with your skin on your face or skin on your body. The bones will be high focus, your skeletal system. Teeth will be in high focus for whatever reason. Ligaments, knees, ears, and so hearing areas or auditory organs. And again, the gallbladder is highly activated again because this shows up again the second time over. Parathyroid gland and body protein. And I'm just going to put out a warning to be careful around electricity and water, especially for shocks or electrocution. And again, the higher mind is very activated. So again, write down thoughts and visions and those types of things, dreams. And your feet, be looking after your feet. And that could include shoes or shoe quality. The pineal gland and the spinal column. And again, I'm just going to highlight this again too for a second, going over mental illness and depression. Depression can be quite a problem here this particular time zone, and viruses is over and over again. Now we come to our Pluto, and because it's very active, so this involves the elimination organs or areas in the body. So that's the bladder, or where the bowels, those kind of things. And it's also about the reproductive systems, both female and male. The pituitary gland, and so this is where it talks about abnormal growth. So this is where the Cancer comes in, right? So Pluto represents Cancer. So it can be not only cancer, but it can be warts, tumors, moles, birthmarks, cancerous growths, any sort of cancer in, on, or around the body, or just a topic of cancer. Might not be cancer, anything, but just somebody's talking about it. And if it's not you, it could be somebody you know that has cancer, or the topic of cancer, or they want to talk to you about a cancer topic. And also the hypothalamus gland. And also, so that will end the health and anatomy part. But I also want to talk a little bit more about the Pluto, because it's very active. This is also an energy within this of self-empowerment, right? It's upheaval, it's unstable, it's unpredictable. But Pluto also represents self-empowerment, and also something it represents is power and control. So that can be power and control, hopefully over yourself, or it can be power and control over others. Like, for example, an overreach of power, right? We've all seen that. And it does include that too. And so it's about the creation and the destroying, right? The death, the rebirth. Pluto means business when it steps up to the plate. It also likes to hand out reality checks, right? So that's all I'm going to say for today, because this has gone on quite long again. So we'll end it right there. And again, it's just a very busy week. Your plans will not stay the same. It's upheaval. Again, and try to work with these cycles, right? So when you see, when you know you're going to have changes coming in, like I've had people say to me, why would I want to know that? Well, you'd want to know that, for example, how you would apply that is if you're going on a road trip and all of a sudden, the day before you find out that there's going to be a road closed or there's a road washed out, well, you already know you're not going to go that way. You need to detour. So that detour is going to save you probably hours of being stuck in traffic, right? That's what you'd want to know. You can pre-plan. You know what's coming up. It's a heads up as to what you're dealing with, which becomes not quite so frustrating, and you can kind of temporarily prepare for the change ahead. So just an example. Anyway, so again, a very highly transformational week. It's busy. It's a bit of a bumpy ride. So kind of, tighten your seatbelt a little bit and just take it as it comes and work with the energies as you can. There's lots of opportunity to be had. Pick your battles, right? Pick your battles wisely. It's worth your time and energy. Jump on it. What's not, walk away from it. And hopefully it's a good transformation. So this will conclude the Weekly Woo. So until we talk again, stay happy, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and take care of each other. And you know what? If you can, make it a pay it forward day. Make it a pay it forward week, because it's a bit of a challenged week, and guaranteed not everybody's going to have a good week this week. That's just how reality is. Okay, bye for now.